Everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is the start of my first writing vlog in like 3.5 weeks. Yes, today is January 1st, New Year's Day, which makes it the perfect time to get back in the saddle and start writing again. So you may be surprised that I took such a lengthy break, considering on my last vlog, I was feeling really good about where I was in the draft and was looking forward to getting into this big fight scene that would cap off the end of Act 2 and get us into the Dark Night of the Soul. What ended up happening really was that the following week I had just a lot of parenting obligations. My daughter had a couple of choir concerts, and then it was my son's birthday, and then my other daughter had her school musical that she was a part of on the weekend, and it was just truly like back to back things. And so after the first couple of days, I decided I was just going to take the week off to focus on parenting and being present for my family, and I really didn't have much energy anyway. And so after that week, I thought I would get back into the draft, but I kind of fell into this mood where I felt it wasn't really the right time to be focused on writing. I don't know if it was just because of the holiday or my son's birthday or what, but I really just wanted to be spending time with my family and enjoying the season. Christmas is my favorite time of year. And so that's kind of what I did. I ended up spending a lot of time out here on my couch with my son playing Pokemon or hanging out with my girls, or just being present. And then I was also going to bed super early. And I was also like going to bed like super early. I don't know, I was just feeling really tired. And then like my whole family got sick too, so there was also that. Anyway, it was a time where writing wasn't really a focus, and truly I am okay with that. I am okay with pushing back my deadline yet again because it meant that I was focusing more on my family at a, family-oriented time of year. But Christmas is now over and it is now New Year's Day. And while I haven't been writing over the last couple of weeks, I have not been idle, to say the least. I have been putting into motion a lot of plans for this first year of my 5-year plan. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend checking out the last 2 videos I made, my 90-day hard challenge video and my 2026 resolutions video. Those videos kind of outline my big goals and my big plans for at least this next quarter of this new year. But really, I feel really strongly that this is the year I am going to really put writing at the forefront of my life. And while I did take a big step in that last year, again, just the way that I am feeling about my manuscript and my process, and like the way that content creation flows into all of that, and my big 5-year plan, I really do feel like this is going to be the year that I take a monster step forward. I mean, like, I'm planning on being query ready by the end of the year, which is kind of crazy to me, but considering all the things that go into getting a manuscript ready to be queried, and also considering the fact that I'm only 2/3 of the way through the second draft, the amount of thought I've put into it and the energy that I just feel like I'm in the best position I've ever been in. That is a very long preamble to say hello and welcome to the first writing vlog of 2026. I do have the day off, but I am going back to work tomorrow, Friday. So it's not like this is a long weekend where I can really settle in. So with that being said, I have a lot of things I want to get done on this day off. I've got to film a couple of TikToks, and then I want to do 2 ladder sprints. 5 hours worth of work. And that might seem a little bit much considering I'm just now getting back on the horse, but I have outlined a pretty rigid schedule for myself to stay on track of my big goal of having Seeker's Query ready by the end of the year. And the first part of that is my new deadline for finishing draft 2 is now January 25th. That is just about 3.5 weeks from now. That will give me time to take a little pause after I'm I'm done with draft 2 to digest and then get right back into a revision plan and outlining draft 3. My goal for draft 3 is to do less rewriting and more line level focus, but with all of the changes that came into draft 2, I think there will be some hard restructuring that needs to happen, and that will result in some rewriting. But anyway, that's for later. With that, come along with me as I get started on this, what I hope will be the downhill run to finishing draft 2.
I give you all you ask and I love you like that. I believe so you got my back. Take me back, rewind time. Like when life was simple, when you were mine. Won't you take me back?
Can you take me back?
Rewind time.
Can you rewind the time?
When life was simple,
Life was better back then.
you were mine.
Can we miss some times?
Take me back, take me back, take me back, take me back. Take me back, take me back, take me back, take me back.
I remember them days without a worry in the world. Everything was good then. Back then when we held the world in our hands, we had plans. It was futuristic goals. From a kid to a man, we was dreaming, playing games on the PS2. It was San Andreas, it was me versus you.
Well, hello, fancy seeing you here. It is now just after 9:30, and I am sitting down to do my first ladder sprint in 3.5 weeks. It has been a pretty good day, apart from the fact that I said earlier I was going to do 2 ladder sprints. That didn't happen. But apart from that, I've had a really good day. I managed to get all but 2 of my 90-day hard challenge tasks completed, and the last 2 I am sitting down to finish now, the writing and finishing my last bottle of water for the day. I got some work done. I took a walk, and I got some laundry done. I did some editing. It's just been a really good day. So I'm feeling good about how this is going so far. Granted, no work today. I do have to work tomorrow, and I have yet to actually write words, which maybe end up being the hardest part after all. So like I said, it's just after 9:30. I did get sat down just a little bit late, but my kids are with their dad and they're on break this week, so no school run, so I'm not having to get up quite as early. So I'm not super worried about the time itself. I'm a little bit nervous about getting into this first writing sprint, mostly just because when I left off, I was not quite sure how I wanted to handle this next interaction. I have been thinking about it ever since I have been on hiatus, and I haven't really come up with anything that I'm super convinced is correct. But I've come up with something that will move me on, so that might just end up being the solution for now. I am also feeling a little bit weird about sitting down to write for the first time because I'm not super excited about it. And I think that's largely because of the break and because it's always hard to get back into a draft after you've taken an extended break. And just the stuff that I have been doing lately, the content and the relaxing, have been more fun, and this is actual work. But it is what it is. I cannot put it off any longer, especially if I want to actually stay on track with this 90-day challenge and my ultimate goal of getting this manuscript ready before the end of the year to send out to agents. So without further ado, I will yap no longer, and let's just go ahead and write some fucking words, y'all. Y'all, I am about halfway through my 36-minute sprint, and let me tell you, it is not going very well. And I probably should have expected this for my first night back, but yeah, I'm just having a little bit of trouble getting back into the flow and getting back into the mindset. I am rewriting a scene, not really rewriting it. I'm kind of reorganizing it a little bit. A lot of this can be reused. And so I am just having a little bit of trouble is not the right word, but I feel like I'm not spending my time very wisely. I'm having to really think about how I want to reorganize the scene and which paragraphs need to slot in where. And it is making me feel like I'm not using my sprinting time very wisely, which is making me feel like I just need to just throw it all together and move on, which I don't think is the right thing to do in this case. I think that's sort of the point of subsequent drafts, right? It's to make it makes sense. I'm kind of stuck in this anxiety loop of I need to read through the original iteration of the scene and really think about how I want to piece it together in this new version. But I'm watching the clock tick down on these sprints and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I haven't added any words to the document, so I'm not making any progress. And It's annoying, especially since like my goal is to write 1,000 words a day for my 90-day hard challenge. It's just irritating. It's not going well, is what I'm saying. It's now 11:30. I'm gonna keep after it. I probably won't complete the ladder tonight, just by the way things are going. I think I'll get to my 1,000 and call it, unless I figure things out in the next 300 words, because I'm sitting at just about 700 right now. So I really only need about 300 more words, and I think I could probably get that really easily. Again, I'm copying over a lot of stuff. That's like the intention, and I think I need to think about this more. What was I gonna say to you? I can't remember. That's pretty much it. So just wanted to let you guys know that it's going about as well as you'd expect after taking a 3.5 week break.
Yes, I have one daughter. How about you? How many baby daddies do you have, if you don't mind me asking? Ellipses. I have one daughter. I understand that it's you, but I have the same father. Yes, I have one daughter. I understand that it's you, but I have the same father.
Okay, I'm calling it for tonight. I got over 1,000 words, so not what I really wanted for getting back in the saddle, but more than 1,000. So I ended up with 1,135, and I almost was to a point where I could have kept going, but it is after midnight, and I do have to work, unfortunately, tomorrow. But also I have hit a point where I need to think about the next section, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that in bed. So this scene is actually taking an interesting turn, and I think it's actually going to end up being a lot shorter than the original version, which I think I'm fine with because I'm a little tiny bit ahead of the word count right now, so cutting some words would be handy. I just don't think that some of the reveals in the original iteration are really needed anymore. Not a spectacular first day back, but I finished my 3rd water bottle for the day, and I did hit 1,000 words, which means I am a 100% perfecto on my first day of my 90-day hard challenge. Tomorrow is really going to test that because I have to work. I am going to clock off for the night. I'm going to get in bed and turn on something other than that song, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Guys, you want to know how out of shape I am? My legs hurt from a 30-minute walk yesterday. It's going swell. Hello, beautiful people. It is now Friday evening at just after 8 o'clock, and I am sitting down to do my ladder for the day. It is a little bit earlier than my typical writing allotted time, but let me tell you, I am whooped. I didn't sleep very well last night. According to my little tracker here, I only got like 3.5 hours of sleep, which I feel like that's true. And then I had to work a full day. And then when I got home, I took the dog for another 30-minute walk. And listen, you can tell how out of shape I am by the fact that that is whooping me a little bit. But I'm now 2 days in a row. I forgot to bring my water bottle in here, but I successfully had 2 of my 30-ounce cups of water at work. So I just need to finish the one that I started after I got back from the walk. And then I'll be done on that. And then I will be successful 2 days in a row on my 90-day hard challenge, which that video came out today. If I can do a complete ladder and in so doing get more than 2,000 words, I will be very, very grateful. I did put a little bit of thought into how I wanted to proceed with this scene, but there are some plot-ish related questions that I'm going to need to answer because it's kind of deviating from the original, which is fine. I want it to be better, but it's just going to require more brain power than just copying and pasting. Also, as I was sitting down, I saw that a fellow author tuber, a fellow small creator, was starting her first live stream. And I just remember how I felt the first time. I was so nervous. I was so uncomfortable. No one really came. And I saw 1 or 2 people pop in, but no one was leaving like messages or anything. So I wasn't really sure if those were just like random people online or if there was anyone I actually knew. And it was a little bit uncomfortable and awkward. So I wanted to pop in there and show support. So I am in that stream with her. And it's actually my first live stream that I've been in quite a while. I think since October. That is all. I'm going to get started with an actual writing sprint now, and we'll chat in a bit. Well, hello again. It is now a considerable amount of time later, about 2 hours, and I only did, yet again, the 48 and the 36-minute sprint of this ladder, partially because I was hanging out with Nicole in her live stream, and we were talking just a little bit, so it wasn't like the breaks were lining up perfectly, and I'm tired. In fact, I was feeling really good through the 48-minute sprint, and then as the 36-minute got underway, I just felt like my energy level just crash. But I did end up getting a total of 1,292 words. I hate the scene, the way that the scene is going. It's another big info dumpy scene, and it is just sort of endemic of a big problem I'm having with this draft, which is this big subplot, I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think I've come up with an idea of like the tone for draft 3 and how I'm going to incorporate this. I think I really need to lean into this mystery and make it kind of a mystery and make it really central to the plot in draft 3, and it wasn't in draft 1, and it only sort of became important midway through draft 2, so it's not being integrated properly, and so it's just, you could just tell it's clunky and that it doesn't fit, and that I'm just sort of pulling things out of my ass. And so something that I'm really going to hit hard in the revision plan for draft 3. First of all, I'm going to choreograph and plan out the information drops with more intention, because so far through 2 drafts, it's just been sort of like willy-nilly, and I've just sort of counted on like a general vibe as I've approached a scene and not really like being intentional about it. And I just need to, or I will hate it like I do right now. But anyway, unfortunately, something else I did find as I was working through this scene is that there was another really great line in the original version of this that does not any longer work in the new version. So I'm going to read it to you. This is where Arceli is just first hearing the name of the cult that plays a big part in the series, but is just sort of just briefly mentioned in this book. And the name of the cult, just so you're not shocked, is Seekers of Empyrean, which is what I hope the series title will be, but it is currently the working title for the book. Anyway, so the line is, she hasn't the faintest fucking clue what these Seekers of Empyrean people are, but she hazards a guess that such a title isn't the name of some cute arcanist book club. That line no longer works in the new version because she has heard of the cult before in the new version, but I'm gonna have to figure out a way to save that line. So I did it. I hit my 1,000 words. Unfortunately, I did not hit 2,000 like I was kind of hoping, but I'm tired. I am so tired that I can feel brain matter just slowly collapsing inside my head. So I am going to call it a night. Tomorrow is Saturday, but I've got kind of a lot planned. I want to film a video that I'm really excited about, but won't be coming to you guys for, well, actually by the time this video comes out, it'll be like next week, but I'm going to film that. We're going to take the Christmas tree down. We were discussing maybe leaving it up another week because bulk garbage won't come for another week, but I do want it out of my house at this point. I want to put my recliner back in its spot so that I can recline. What I've been doing lately is like positioning the recliner so that it's facing the TV in my bedroom, and then like just laying in the recliner and watching TV in my bedroom, even though I could lay in my bed and watch it. It's not the same, okay? It's a different vibe. Watching TV from your recliner and watching TV from your bed is just a different vibe. Sound off in the comments if you agree. Yeah, I really do need to be going to bed now. See you tomorrow. Well, good morning. Here we are again. Day 3, taking the dog for a walk. It's a little bit chilly this morning. Yesterday when we were out, it was about 70. Now it's about 45. Well, I say that, I haven't actually looked. It's probably closer to like 55. But anyway, yeah, doing this again. And I'll be honest with you, I really did not want to get out of bed and do this specifically. I did not want to get up. I did not want to go for the walk. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to get up and make breakfast and hang out. My kids got back yesterday from a week at their dad's, and when I left, my daughter was outside playing with her new basketball hoop, which makes me excited because we got her the basketball hoop. And I just wanted to stay and hang out with her. I didn't want to go for the walk. But it'd be really embarrassing to fail or to have to use a cheat day on day 3 when there's really nothing else going on and no real excuse for me to not do this. Sorry, I found a poop disposal station, so I was like, oh, I better get rid of this bag I've been carrying since most of the very beginning. Anyway, the other thing I have noticed, the other good thing is that it allows me a chance to double up on habits. Because if I walk for half an hour and I listen to half an hour of an ebook, that counts for my pages read. Because 25 pages, which was my original goal, is about half an hour for me. So I'm counting. If I'm listening to an ebook for half an hour, that's basically my pages. And I listen to ebooks on 1.5 times speed. I know people who can go higher than that. I cannot. 1.5 is my max. So anyway, I haven't done that today though, because I've been waiting for an opportunity to talk to you all. So I'm going to have to actually read pages today, which is probably a good thing. Anyway, point being is that as much as I hate the physical exertion, and trust me, I hate it. It is actually really powerful in terms of like getting my tasks done and really useful. And I mean, in addition to also being good for me, I guess. So, ooh, that sun feels nice. Anyway, so we are about 2/3 done with this walk. I'll get a little bit of my ebook listened. We'll get the day started. I have a lot of stuff planned for the day. We'll talk about that in a bit. Yes, ma'am. You've also done 3 days in a row. You've also done 3 days in a row, so you also deserve credit and accolades. Right? You did it too. I'm doing my annual update of my spreadsheet where I keep a list of all of my books in my owned library, and that's physical books, that is ebooks and audiobooks. And I forgot how much of a pain in the ass this is and how long it is taking. I have been sitting here for an hour and a half, and I just finished my physicals. Actually, that's not even true. I haven't even done my special editions yet. I haven't even gotten into my ebook library, which is not inconsiderable because before we moved here, when I was still in the trailer, we didn't have room for bookshelves. And so all of my reading was on ebook. So I might be here for another hour. I just finished updating that spreadsheet. It took me 3 hours. I added almost 80 books last year to my library. That's just based on the numbers. That's not even accounting for the ones I've gotten rid of. So, hey y'all, just checking in for a quick lack of writing update. It is now just after 9 o'clock on Saturday evening, and I have had kind of an ass whooping of a day. I got up, I took the dog out for her walk. I really did not want to. I really did not want to. I cannot stress to you how little I wanted to. But I got up and I did the damn thing anyway. We came back. I kind of just vegged for like 45 minutes before getting in the shower. And then I sat down, I did my tarot draw. My daughter came and was like really interested in the tarot cards. And she told me she wanted to go to the mall because she has a bunch of Christmas money and she wanted to spend it before school starts on Tuesday, right? And I did not want to go to the mall. In fact, that sounded like my own form of hell. And not just because, I don't want to do that ever, but also because I have a bunch of things that I had slated to get done today. But then I decided that being a parent is not really about prioritizing what I want to do. I should really take her to the mall so she can spend her Christmas money and buy the things that she wants. So I said, well, let's go to the mall. At that point, it was about like 11:30 in the morning. My son decided he wanted to go too. So we went to the mall. We were at the mall for about 2.5 hours. We ate lunch, we did our shopping, we came back. And then I sat down, and my goal was to film a video that I have slated for Tuesday, I think, the way the schedule shakes out. So I hope you look forward to it. But then my camera battery was kaput. And I was like, well, shit. That kind of throws off the whole flow of what I wanted to do this afternoon and this evening. But I guess I'll just change around some things. So I will sit down and I will start redoing my spreadsheet for my owned library. I filmed a clip of this. Anyway, so I did that and it took 3 hours. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. You saw. It took 3 hours. Anyway, I could not believe that it took that long. And then by then I was like panicking because I still hadn't edited any videos. I still hadn't eaten. I still hadn't read anything. I still hadn't filmed the video and I still haven't written. So I kind of blitzed through editing. I listened to 30 minutes of my audiobook while I was eating dinner. So that counts for my reading for the day. And then I just finished up filming that video. And it is now almost 9:30. And I am so bushed. I do not want to write today. I do not. I want to lay in the recliner and do nothing at all. So I think what I'm going to do, because I have to write, I have to get at least 1,000 words for the hard challenge. That is officially the last task I have to check off and then I'm done. But what I think I'm going to do for tonight is I'm going to take my computer and I'm going to go sit in the recliner back there. I'm going to point it at the TV and I'm going to kind of do a writing session of old where I entertain myself while I write. There's a basketball game on. There's AuthorTube I could be watching. But I think if I can make this next task feel a little less arduous and like work, then it might feel a little less intimidating and insurmountable, because right now it feels insurmountable, even though it's only 9:30. But I am really tired. You'll be pleased to know that I walked 7,500 steps today. So not something I will be repeating often, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's a good compromise. That way I won't feel as much pressure while I'm just sitting here. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, because that's what I'm doing regardless of what y'all think. So see ya. Well, hello. Here's an angle you haven't seen in a while, and you won't be seeing again, because I'm not going to do this all the time. I'm going to go back to my desk tomorrow, I promise. But I really did need to cut myself some slack tonight. Just have not been feeling it. It is now just midnight and I have just wrapped up my writing session. I did get my 1,000 words. Let's see, 1,162 to be exact. But I did have to resort to something that I did not think I would ever have to do again. And that was I skipped a moderate chunk of this scene that I was writing. I just stopped writing it and then skipped ahead to a portion of the scene that I had already kind of mapped out in my head. I had actually taken notes on my phone about it 4 or 5 days ago. So I was ready to write the end of the scene, but getting there, I was having a really hard time with. And so I just skipped it. And I haven't had to do that in a long time. But I think part of the problem was not just that I really was hating the way it was coming out. I also came to a very important realization / conclusion. Very important. Very, very important. And that is that this subplot that I've really been wrestling with for the last 3 months or however long it's been, the one that I had to really think about and mull over and seek feedback on, and then go back into earlier in the draft and introduce it earlier and all this stuff. I have been sort of asking myself this question of, is this really the right way to go to really bring this subplot into the fore? Because the way that the draft has gone since leaning into it, it's almost become like a co-A plot. It's very important. It has gotten so much metaphorical screen time since the midpoint. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like the story that I wanted to write. I wanted to get back to the A plot, the antagonist of the week plot. I wanted to focus more on Arceli's integration into this new world. And this A plot was just taking so much oxygen and so much focus that I was really starting to hate it. As I was writing this scene, I think I realized that this subplot needs to exist, and it needs to exist heavily, and it needs to be the character's driving motivation for what she does in this book. Not just because of my story in particular, but also because of like certain genre conventions of urban fantasy. This B plot is a mystery. It's her trying to solve her mother's disappearance from 10 years ago, essentially. It's very important, and it's also something that you see a lot in urban fantasy. And so I realized that the reason it feels wrong is because I have approached it in the wrong way. I have tried to treat it like it was just a minor thing, like a running thread that would crop up every now and then. Because of that, I was not putting enough narrative weight in the scenes where it is the focus. And as a result, it just doesn't feel good. It feels like bad writing. It feels like it just slapdash and thrown together and not great, which it is because I haven't really choreographed or thought about these scenes in detail. I realized that I don't need to write out this scene in its full form for me to move on. I already know kind of like the direction of the scene, and the meandering conversation that was taking place to get to the end point was never going to be good, and it was never going to be useful because it had started its life with the thought that this is just a minor plot, and it's not. And so I just skipped it and I moved on, and things went much, much faster after that. Like I said, I got my 1,000 words, but I'm just sort of like, this means that draft 3 is going to be a major overhaul again. And if that's the case, how realistic is it that I can send draft 3 to critique partners and simply implement feedback and move on and get this actually query ready by the end of the year? I honestly don't know. The funniest thing about like my plan for this year to get this book query ready is that I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Not the faintest clue. I have no idea the timeline, how long it's going to take, if I'm going to need a fourth, like a full fourth draft, not just like to do like edits, but like, who knows. Anyway, draft 3 is definitely going to be another major overhaul of the plot. I mean, of this B plot to make it more forward. My revision plan is going to have to heavily focus on marrying it to the A plot better and make it all feel more seamless and integrated so that it feels better to me. Because I do think, I'm pitching this book as a Monster of the Week inspired urban fantasy. So like the A plot still matters. The A plot is still interesting and engaging and fast paced, and that's the point. And I also really want Arceli's like introduction into this new world that she's entering to be interesting to readers too, and like at the forefront. And so I'm going to have to figure out how to make all of those elements work together and not make it a 300,000 word book. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm just really eager to get into that phase. I do want to write the fight scene that is coming up because that's changed in context quite a bit, and parts of the Dark Night of the Soul needs an overhaul too, but the climax and the ending will basically be identical. And I'm almost tempted to just not finish this draft, just get through these portions that are different and then leave the last like 10,000 words off. We'll see. We'll see when I get there, because who knows, maybe the context will feel different and I will want to end up rewriting it. But anyway, I'm just like, this draft has been a little bit miserable for me ever since that like 30,000 word mark. It's just felt really truly like a discovery draft where I'm just figuring shit out as I go, and almost like a waste of time. But it obviously hasn't been, because without the process I would not have had these conclusions. So anyway, it's just been a kind of a miserable process. I want to know things when I write my damn outline. That's why I make it. That's all. I did it. I am now 3 days complete on my hard challenge. This one was a struggle. I'll tell you what, it was a struggle. I am going to now, I should probably get up and get in bed. It's right there. Speaking of right there, I swear this cat has a sixth sense for when I'm about to get up, like within the next few minutes. And then he comes and he parks it. We call this the butt hello, by the way, in my family. And on that note, Good night. Well, hello there. Fancy seeing you here. It is now Sunday evening, and it is just after 9:30 actually, and I am sitting down to do a whole ass ladder sprint, because tell me why I've been back for 3 nights now and I still haven't completed a ladder, despite it being the weekend when you would think I would have the most energy. So here I am, a little bit late, but the kids don't go back to school just yet. They have one more day, which means I have one more evening that I can stay up a little bit later, and one more 7:15 alarm rather than the 6:30 one. So I'm going to take advantage. I am headed into the fight scene. Basically, the main characters just got a call that the antagonist is up to her bullshit, and they are racing to the scene to try and catch her this time, where they will have a big confrontation. The last time I tried to write this fight scene, it took me months. I hit a skid, as I am prone to do, right around the time of the fight scene. And let's just say that being stuck in the fight scene didn't not contribute to that mental skid, but I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with it now. Not only did I write that fight scene, I also wrote the climax fight scene, and then in this new draft, I've written a couple more scenes where the magic system was on display. So I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. I have a better grasp of how I'm going to enter the scene. The other problem I had last time was that I really didn't know how to get to the action, and so I started doing that thing that I do where I'm not really sure what to do other than to narrate literally every single movement and every single action that the main characters are taking. And so it was just like, it was getting really, really lengthy and really stupid. This time I have an actual plan of attack. I know exactly what she needs to do, kind of the broad strokes of the choreography, like the actual dialogue. So I feel a lot better. My goal is to hit 2,000 words today. It's actually been my goal every day, strictly speaking. It's just, it hasn't worked out for me. Oh no, that's not a good sign. I'm committed. I'm committed to doing a full ladder this time. So there's not really much else to say. Let's just get to it. Okay, y'all, I just finished my 36-minute sprint, and I have good news and I have pretty awesome news, I think. The good news is I'm already over 1,000 words, so good for me. I'm still gonna keep on keeping on though, because I'm feeling really good about what I just wrote. So I just finished a scene, and it deviated pretty wildly from the draft 1 version of this scene. And while that has been true for a lot of these scenes that, you know, are having to change because of the ripple effects of the change to the midpoint and the middle section of the book, and that has been true for most scenes, you know, that have come since the midpoint where I had to like change everything. But this was less about plot and more about the character and her personality and what is driving her. And I think I talked about it before in a previous log earlier in this draft, where I felt like I was writing this character too timidly, despite me trying to describe her as someone who's very abrasive and kind of fiery and kind of takes no shit kind of person. Throughout the first draft for sure, and even going all the way back to the outline, it was kind of relying on her being afraid of certain consequences of her magic, being afraid of being called on to even be part of this mission to hunt down this threat, being afraid of all kinds of things, being afraid of what she might learn. And while I do think that it would be natural for anyone to have a measure of fear in this situation, it never really felt strong enough for the book. It never felt like strong enough motivation or strong enough to like explain why she does things in certain ways and how the plot turns and all of that. And so while this scene was, not a ton happened, it was more of a moment for Arceli, the main character, and her partner Max to have like a little bit of a confrontation, which in turn is more important for their relationship rather than anything really plot related. Writing it helped me realize that the way that I had thought of this next big fight scene and what happens afterwards that then leads to the Dark Night of the Soul, it felt weak because it was not right. It felt weak because it was weak, and it was not right for this character or for the story itself. I am glad that I had this realization. I am frustrated that it took me all the way up into 75,000 words of the second draft to realize this. It just changes the whole complexion of the next, well, really up until the climax. But anyway, it's been really interesting. I am now to the point where the characters are arriving on the scene where this big fight will happen. There's going to be a lot of preamble. Spoiler alert, it's a hostage negotiation. So there's going to be a little bit of choreography I'm going to need to do. So I'm going to keep going for now. But if I get up to the point where I need to start really thinking through each step of that hostage negotiation scene, I'll call it for the night. It is now 11:40, so I really only have like half an hour left in me anyway before I need to get to bed, because I do have to work tomorrow. It's back to real life tomorrow, y'all. Aren't you sad? I am so sad. I was just talking to my partner. There are no more holidays and free days off of work until Memorial Day at the end of May, and that is sad. Anyway, back to real life. I do need to be getting to bed at some point. But anyway, it's been interesting. My first 48-minute sprint was 658 words, and then I got into a flow in the 36-minute and hit 594, so only like 50 words short of the 48-minute sprint, besides being 12 minutes shorter. So it's going swell, is what I'm trying to say. It's going swell. That's it for now. I'll check in with you when I'm done. Hey y'all, good morning. It is now Monday. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am getting off to a pretty terrible start to my day, including the fact that I forgot to wrap up this vlog for you guys. So here we are. I did not write much more after we last spoke, only about 5 to 10 minutes and like 100 more words, because I realized that if I pushed myself and stayed up way too late last night, then I was going to be too tired tonight to do a full ladder. And today is back to real life. The kids will go back to school tomorrow, so I'll be back to my regular alarm time and everything. So I figured it would be better to just go to bed. I had already got my 1,000 words. I was feeling like I was in a good place to leave off and pick up again tonight. I ended up with like 1,300 words for the day. But what I will say is that I am really excited for draft 3, because I feel like I have finally found the real identity of this book. It's just kind of frustrating that it took the better part of 2 years and what will be over 200,000 words across 2 drafts to find that. I have always prided myself on being a staunch planner, yet here I am still like discovering a brand new layer, and discovering the real identity of my story 2 drafts deep. I'm trying to comfort myself that this is the first time, that this is my first go of it. Really, my first real go of it. I mean, I did have that one first draft, several years ago, but this is my first real revision phase, and this is my first time like taking it seriously and really thinking deeply. And anyway, so it's just something that I have to make peace with. Maybe that is my process, is as I plan as best as I can, but I still discover things in the draft. And I do believe that there is truth in the suggestion that no one is a true plotter or a true pantser. Everyone is a little bit of both. They just have different concentrations, and that is bearing out for me right now, in that I do my best to plan, and then I get into it and I realize certain things. I am still going to carry on with the draft, but I think my plan is that wherever I end up on January 25th, that will be the end of my process for draft 2. And I'm just going to go straight into the revision plan for draft 3, because it's going to take a lot of thinking, because just so much is changing. So much is going to be different. I'm pulling this subplot and marrying it to the A plot and making kind of that the driving force. I'm changing some character dynamics. I'm making my main character more assertive, more true to her real personality, because the way that she's been written through these first 2 drafts, it's almost like she's discovering the plot with me. Like she's kind of discovering herself, which is a valid character arc. It's just not her character arc, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of adapting the way that her character is written. All of that to say, I'm really excited for draft 3, but it will feel like a draft 1 for me, because it's going to be so new. I don't want to say that the time writing the first 2 drafts have been wasted. Obviously they have not been wasted, because I don't think I could have arrived at this conclusion without going through this entire process. But it is just a little frustrating that I've been drafting for more than a year now, and it feels like I'm starting over. Not to end on a downer note, but I am kind of annoyed with everything that has happened so far this morning. I was late getting out the door, and then I was in my car and I kept dropping stuff, and like something rolled off my seat and into the crease between the seat and the door, and it like fell on the lever that adjusts the seat, and so the seat started leaning forward while I was driving it. And then I got in and my work computer was acting foolish, and I had to like hard reset it, and it wasn't like behaving nicely with the docking station. That took like 15 minutes to get fixed. And then of course, every time I restart my computer, it's like I have to sign into everything all over again because of the VPN. Anyway, and then I opened my purse and I realized I left my tarot cards at home, so I can't even do a daily draw. And so I feel extremely discombobulated. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me your favorite like peaceful emoji to help me feel better about this day and where my draft is at. In my next video, I will be outlining my very first short story. So I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.